Yeah, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? Animals are grazing grass. Everything's looking good. Yesterday, while I was looking for information on just what I'm gonna be doing in terms of fertilizing this field, I was looking into different varieties of grass that I am able to plant. I realized somewhere as I was doing all this, I was misinformed that pearl millet contains prussic acid dangers. From what I read yesterday, pearl millet is completely safe to graze. So somewhere as I was collecting information, I got mixed up somewhere, believing that pearl millet has prussic acid problems with it. So, yep. So that opens up a huge window of opportunity for me, because pearl millet. Okay, so thing about pearl millet. When I realized that, I got some more information on pearl millet. Pearl millet, it needs a warmer climate than Sudan grass. So Sudan grass, it'll grow when it'll start growing when the soil temperature is about 65. Pearl millet will need a soil temperature of about 70. So most people who plant pearl millet, instead of April, they're planting in May, because soil temperature needs to be warmer for pearl millet. Pearl millet, the yields on it per acre are lower than a hybrid pearl millet in general will yield lower than a hybrid Sudan grass. It will still yield significantly more than Bahia grass, though, in terms of just biomass, from my understanding. And so, okay, so here's my big thing right now. When I take a good look at what I'm doing right now, these animals, let's say the average weight of my herd right now is about 4.5 weight, is about 450 pounds. If my average weight right now is 450 pounds, if I doubled it and took it to 900 pounds, if I even doubled how much these animals were eating, let's say they went double their weight, so they ate twice as much. If I doubled how much these animals were eating, they would still barely make a dent in this grass. I have so much grass here right now that if I was going to feed this much grass to cattle, I would need I would need tremendously more animals. I would need more animals. I would need heavier animals. As of right now, when weather conditions go, okay, so here's my big thing, is that my neighbor is letting me plant grass on his field, on his 5 acres. And so when I was running numbers for this hay on just my I got about 9 acres, I suppose, because I got about 1 acre of living space, but I got about maybe it's closer to 8.5 or so acres. Oh, well, no, it's actually close. It is actually closer to 9 acres. So I got about 9 acres of plantable ground. And so if I was gonna make if I was gonna make about $7,500 of net profit on 9.5 acres, if my neighbor gives me another 5 acres, my net profit opportunity goes up to like $10,000, and that's just for hay season. That would be if I just sold hay. So my whole thing right now is, what if I just planted pearl millet here, fed cattle on it, then grew Sudan grass on my neighbor's property, ensiled it, grew it wrapped it up for silage, so that when if weather should ever go bad, or if I should ever, if weather conditions should go bad, I could feed the silage to these cattle while I wait for grass to grow back, for pearl millet to grow back. So that would mean that I get so I was thinking through this whole thing, making a plan for this year, and I was like, you know what, I could plant pearl millet here. I could plant pearl millet here, plant Sudan grass on my neighbor's field, and then raise cattle year round. Because right now, as of right now, if I was gonna raise 35 animals that were 900 pounds, they wouldn't hardly make a dent in this. I mean, that may actually be the correct stocking rate, because if I doubled their weight, so let's say I have 28. Well, I have 28 animals right now. They're about 450 pounds average weight. If I have 28 animals at 450 pounds, that would be like at 900 pounds. That would be like me saying I have twice as many animals. If I had twice as many animals here, I would still have way too much grass. This grass would still be growing too quickly to be consumed in any sort of reasonable manner. And so, even if I only raised, let's say I just kept that number steady. I raised 28 animals, and I raised 28 animals instead of rotating cattle quickly. What if I just raised 28 animals, and once a year, so every 12 months, my goal was to take it. And it would be too long of a time frame. Well, let me think. 12 months, 50 pounds a month, that's 600 pounds. Okay, so actually that's not bad. What if I took one group of animals from 500 pounds to 1,000 pounds once a year? And at that point, I could sell them, or I could have them processed. I could sell beef, or I could just take the cattle back to market. And that would if I could have them processed, that'd be fantastic. But then again, it's like how am I gonna sell 28 cattle? How am I gonna sell? Well, who knows? How would I sell 28 cattle worth of beef, right? Like, if I had 28 animals go to a processor, and I had a whole bunch of beef, how would I sell that? Because realistically, that would be the best opportunity for me to make money. But that comes with its set of problems too. So okay. So but long story short, if I had 28 animals here, 3 times their size, I think that would be the correct stocking rate to graze this grass. Because as of right now, these animals are extremely fat. I mean, these animals have a huge gut on them, and there is still just way too much grass. And so, I could raise larger animals. I could also raise them to a heavier weight. That would solve the problem. That would also reduce my risk exposure. Because an animal that's at 500 pounds is less likely to have health problems than an animal that is at 250 pounds. And so, yeah, I could just grow pearl millet here, raise cattle here year round, grow Sudan grass on my neighbor's field, bring that Sudan grass in over here as silage, hold on to that silage for if weather conditions ever go bad to where this grass starts to die. I could feed that silage to these animals while I wait for this grass to grow back. Then I could just raise cattle here year round. And so if I did that, so the thing about 1,000-pound animal is that if I had a 1,000-pound animal, if I only got $1 per pound on that animal, I would make $1,000 per animal. And if I paid, so there's also the cost of it wouldn't be that simple. Well, okay, so realistically, if I was gonna raise an animal to 1,000 pounds, I would the best thing for me to do would be to process it. Because if I raise an animal to 1,000 pounds, the feed yards aren't gonna want them. The demand for a 1,000-pound animal, even if it's a good-looking 1,000-pound animal, is practically zero. At that point, they're ready to go to the processor. They're ready to get processed, harvested for meat. At that point. And so, if I was gonna raise an animal to 1,000 pounds, my goal should be to take it to a processor. That would be my goal. And you know, if I took it to a processor, and I got like let's say I had a 1,000-pound animal, and let's say it had a 50% carcass yield. That animal would yield about 500 pounds of meat and bones too. So, but you know, like but it is what it is, and yep. And so, well, if I raised animals for processing and I was successfully able to sell the beef, I could make and I went through one cattle rotation a year, then I got $1,500 per animal, or $1.50. What that would ultimately translate into after the cost of processing. So the cost of processing a 500-pound animal is going to be about $750. So the ultimate goal, the end result of everything would essentially be the consumer gets about 500 pounds of beef for about $2,250. So they'd be paying about $4.50 or something like that per pound of beef, and that includes everything from brisket to T-bones, ground beef, everything. And these cattle would be straight grass-fed. So I would have all grass-fed cattle, just because, well, I mean, with my grass just grows so well here. Why would I do anything else, right? I mean, grass just makes the most sense. It costs me practically nothing. Like planting 10 acres of grass. Planting 10 acres of grass cost me about $350 of seed. And then it cost me about maybe just a few $1,000s a year of fertilizer. And I can grow this much grass. I can grow enough grass to feed 35 animals to 1,000 pounds. And so, I mean, the grass here, grass hardly costs anything, especially when compared to other sources of food for cattle. Like if I was gonna go buy grain costs astronomically more than grass does. I'm gonna get this animal off my tractor. Got a little one here looking at my tractor. Get off my tractor. And so, yep. Hey. Got new filters on it. So this is that fuel filter that didn't fit. I need to get a new one of these. I got a new filter on it. And got new filters on this side too. Got the oil changed. So everything just about good to go. I just need to get a new fuel filter on that side. Then I need to get a new set of air filters on this side. Then everything's good to go on this tractor. But yeah, I mean, you know, well, here's the thing, is that if I was successful here with this current, with this, like a whole processing beef idea, well, so if I bought an animal and it cost me $600, a 500-pound animal, and it cost me, actually, I'd probably be paying, well, I mean, the cost of acquiring an animal would be extremely high too. So I would need to think about that as well. Because if I was gonna bring in a 500-pound Angus animal, I mean, I'd probably be paying like $700 per animal. And if I pay $700 per animal and I made $1,500, I'd make a net profit of $800 per animal. And if I made a net profit of $800 an animal at 40 animals a year, 30 animals a year, well, that still wouldn't be bad. That'd be 24 grand. But then I also need to think, well, I mean, then I spend about 5 grand on planting grass for those animals. Yeah, that still wouldn't be bad. That'd be close to like $20,000. But I mean, that's a big, well, I mean, but ultimately that is the big opportunity for money in cattle. I think that the big opportunity for money in cattle is to raise them for processing. In terms of well, yeah, because I mean, going straight to consumer, that'd be the big opportunity for money, right? When I think about, well, where's the money at, that's where the money is at. And if I can make $20,000 a year here, that would be fantastic. Because if I can make $20,000 a year here, and I could leverage that money immediately for a big old field. So that would be the ultimate big goal. Because, well, okay, so realistically, if I can make $20,000 a year here, I could go and buy a 50, 65 acre field for about $2,000 a month. If I go buy a 50, 65 acre field for after I pay for all my equipment, if I go and buy a field like that, I can use the money that I'm producing here to pay for the cost of the leverage for a new field, then produce an income on that new field while using this field to pay for that field until that field produces an income. And then when that field produces an income and I have this field producing an income, it turns into a large sum of money. I mean, I'd be talking about, you know, having over $1 million in assets with a net cash flow return of something like 15% on those assets, which is a huge sum of money. I mean, if I mean, it would be a well, I mean, 15% returns. A 15% return, to put that in perspective, is like taking the entire U.S. economy, the S&P, just about, oh my gosh, I got one of my cattle licking up motor oil again. But the S&P, for example, the 500 biggest companies in America, the net return on a portfolio of the S&P is 10% a year. On average, it's 10% a year. If I made 15% of return on my assets, that would be a 50% more return than I could make on the broad U.S. economy. So a 15% return is enormous, and it turns into a huge sum of money long term. I mean, I don't even how much of a return it would be. Who knows? It'd be a tremendous sum of money. And so, well, I mean, it is what it is. So, yep. I mean, if I could make money here, if I could realistically find a way to make even $15,000 a year here, that would put me in a tremendously good spot. Because I could save up $15,000 a year, you know, pay for my equipment, save it up for a year or two, buy a new field, use that $15,000 to cover at least a big portion of the cost of leverage for the new field. Then start, by the time that I run out of money, that new field would be producing an income to cover the difference, as well as produce a net profit. And so, yep, if I just stick to it, and then well, I mean, I have to make money though. That's everything relies on well, there are a lot of important things here too. It ain't just about money. Like, if I didn't know what I was doing, the money, you know, I wouldn't be making any money anyway. And so I just gotta do I just gotta make good choices. And then I gotta think through these things carefully. But yep, I was taking a look. Well, I mean, you know, farmland, historically, farmland, it is a low return appreciation, but farmland has yet to ever go down in value. And so farmland may not go up as fast as like something like a retail center or something like that in terms of land value, but the value of farmland has yet to ever go down, ever. And so you know, when I think about that too, and the appreciation of assets, I mean that all adds up. But long story short, it turns into a tremendous sum of money, a huge pull. I mean, it's like a ridiculous sum of money, like money that I mean, it just doesn't make sense. A huge sum of money. And so, well, I mean, but yep, it all starts with me. I gotta make money here. I gotta make enough money here to cover the at least the partial costs of leverage for a new field. If I can partially cover the cost of a new field, I can save money to have enough cash reserves to cover the cost of the field until I'm able to have enough time to give me enough time to make a money on the new field. And if I make money on the new field as well as make money here, then put that all together, it'll more than cover the cost of the leverage for both fields, as well as produce me a net profit, as well as create a pool of equity. And so that all of that is money. But that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.